Hi, in this video series, we're setting up Centrify MFA with AWS WorkSpaces. And in the previous video, we verified that we had MFA on the connector server. Now we're going to set up the building blocks for AWS WorkSpaces MFA, and we need to work with group policy. But first, remember that in the previous video, we set up the Centrify GP extension. This can be gotten from the server suite bits. You also need to have the server suite bits activated. So the licensing service, you need to have it either with a production key or an evaluation key. And this is just to be able to use the MMCs for Centrify. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to open MMC. And there's other steps that we set up before. Let's look at our downloads folder here for a second. And notice that we have the IWA Trust Root certificate. And the reason why we need that is because when MFA clients authenticate against the Centrify connector, they do so over SSL. So there's got to be a PKI relationship. And in the previous video, we noted that the connector already has this provision. We're going to use group policy to provision this. So we're going to use group policy management. Like I said, I created a AWS WorkSpaces OU. You could use the default domain policy if you want to apply to the default computers as well. It's your choice. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to make my life very easy, and I'm going to edit the default domain policy. My expectation is that you're probably going to have to create a an OU and a GPO for this, but it's going to be the same regardless. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to name my my GPO, right? And let's just let me just do a refresh here. Refresh. Let's just create a GPO. Call it Centrify settings, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and do edit. And first thing I'm going to do is provision the IWA root certificate. I'm going to go to Windows settings, security settings, publicly policies, and trusted root certification authorities. All I need to do is import the root certificate that I downloaded before. And as you know, you can get that from settings, network, and you go into the Centrify connector to get that. Right, so I have that. So the next thing I need to do is I'm going to add the certificate template for the Centrify Windows settings. Right, so I'm going to add that, and now I have the Windows settings, and there's two categories: common settings, right, and we also have the MFA settings, right. The thing that I'm interested in doing is excluding a particular credential provider that is provided by AWS. And this credential provider, the CLS ID, you can get from the blog post. I also have it here. So let me take a look in here. This credential provider I want to disable because I want to be challenged after I use the AWS client. So I'm going to paste that credential provider name here. We use a comma next to it. Notice that you can configure a lot of things in here, including the list of users that are going to be required for multi-factor. You can provide a grace period as well, or disable a multi-factor authentication for screen unlock. In my case, I'm going to continue to enable it, right? So I have the settings that I need now. I can also link a GPO already. For example, I can link the Centrify settings that I have at the top level as well. This is unorthodox, but I already have that. At this point, all I need to do is launch a workspace. And for me to do this, all I need to do is I'm going to go to workspaces, right? And I'm going to go launch a workspace. I'm going to pick my registered domain here, right? I'm going to pick a user. Let's just pick on Diana. So I'm going to search. So here's Diana here. I'm going to add selected, and I'm going to do the next step. In my case, I'm going to use a Windows 10 machine, right? And I'm just going to use the defaults here. So this is going to launch the workspace. And then the next video, once this workspace is launched, we're going to register it and we're going to install the Centrify agent on it. The reason why I'm doing this is I don't want to do a package application now. I want to do this as an improvement. I want to walk through the steps manually so you can see what's going on here. And then you can use a package application. You can use the GPOs to set all the settings. But we're walking on the basics here.